Hey guys, I thought I'd talk to you about an idea that I was thinking about the other night. I was actually working in a volunteer organization, and basically you just hand out food to homeless people and yada yada. I've actually used the service myself when I was um, a lot poorer. So anyway, uh, what I thought was interesting was that a lot of people, they have the idea that homeless people or poor people, what they're lacking is life skills. Life skills. And this always cracks me up because, you know, when you really look at what makes someone prosperous in this world, or at least in the Western world, it's the ability to bring value to a marketplace. Okay? And that may not necessarily include the exchange of money, though in most cases it does. Okay. Now, if you've got someone who is in a business and that business has a certain expectation of quality, okay, and this may be as an employee, for example, and they're below that level, okay, they may get fired. And also, whenever they're competing in the marketplace to get a job, they're coming in below the average level of the applicants, so they won't get a job. And the government's point of view on this is that it's their fault, that you know, they are doing something wrong or not doing something. Now, in one way of looking at it, you could look at it like radical responsibility, which I believe in. And in that case, yeah, there is a certain level to that. However, there's another sort of point of view on that, which is if you look at a mass of people, there are always going to be a group of people who are underperforming compared to the rest of the mass. And if you have a system set up where those people, if they're underperforming, will be homeless, that's going to be the result, and that's what we got now. Is that these people who are mentally ill or cannot perform or don't have, you know, great resumes or whatever, they can't compete with other people. Okay, maybe their grooming skills aren't great, or, you know, some simple things, but the fact is that those are just surface level issues, and when you really look at it, it's because they cannot bring the value to the marketplace. So in that case, putting the onus on them doesn't resolve the issue, because what's creating the issue is actually a societal issue, which is that we have set the bar for those who are underperforming so low that it's below the poverty line. Okay, and so those people become homeless, or, you know, whatever, and that starts a downward spiral. And in which case, what do I think the solution is? Because, you know, it's easy to sort of highlight the problem. What's the solution? Well, I mean, from the societal aspect, the anecdotal answer is to raise that bar, so that inevitably the lower, I mean, a 1% tax on the richest people in Australia, just an additional 1%, would literally feed all the homeless and shelter all the homeless. So it's not impossible, and it's not like you have to do a huge amount to do it. Okay, but the other side of that is, if you look at the idea of okay, so in business, although there's a high barrier to entry in a lot of businesses, if you can get in there and you can provide some sort of value to the marketplace, you will have an income, regardless of what people think of you. Okay, and this is an interesting factor that I would look at. So what I'm saying is, forget teaching these people life skills. Really teach them and take them through the process, not just like a seminar, but actually take them through creating a business and making the business successful, and repeat that process again and again and again. So this would take some entrepreneurs actually taking people on and teaching them how to do this, and in which case you'd have people making money and they wouldn't be homeless. Okay, It's that simple. Because the hardest thing for these people is they've got a set of limiting beliefs that they can't get around, okay, unless they experience something to the contrary to what those beliefs are. Like direct experience will override the beliefs, okay. If they keep experiencing that, at first it'll come in under the radar, but then they'll realize, okay, wait, I've made repeated like businesses that that have been successful with less and less help from whoever it is, the initial mentor. Okay, and this could really turn people's lives around. And we're not doing that because people in business have a lot of limiting beliefs about, first off, the people who would need this sort of thing, but also about business itself, um, which is quite interesting because a lot of them have this innate belief that business itself is complex, it's hard, it's difficult, and that's true in one way, but it's not true in the way of, so like, typical business doesn't have to be complex, you know. It doesn't have to be this super difficult thing, and in you it wouldn't be impossible to teach someone how to start a business, but not just in words, not like a seminar, but have someone who's actually a successful business person take them through the actual methods of doing so on a real business that they start, and then get it successful, and repeat the process a couple times, and then have the expectation that those people who have now got the skills to make businesses will pass that on, and so on and so forth. Because right now, every course you've got, there's no real courses that that address the issue like this. They don't say, hey, what's your business? Or what's an idea for a business? We're going to get mentors in. We're going to get people who are actually the best of what they do in terms of businesses, and we're going to get them to actually help you run the business, right? And they're going to show you where your pitfalls were, what to do, etc., etc., creating the skills. Because hey, I've been learning about business for a long time, and I would have loved this, loved it, and I still have a lot of these sort of understandings missing, because there are some things that you don't learn it in a course, and you don't learn it unless you're already running businesses. But if you're already running businesses, it assumes that you've already been in that sort of network of people, and if you don't know them, then you won't actually get the success you want. Now there's obviously, back to the idea that I have, there is a level that there are outliers. There are people who, regardless of that, they'll find a way to meet those people, get the knowledge, and work it that way, right? Fair enough. But for the rest of us, even people who are into radical responsibility, if the information isn't available, for a normal guy, then how do you expect these homeless people to do that, you know? And it's like, you can't expect them, if they're not even being hired, to expect an employer to, you can't expect them to have a job, okay? But even if they did, they're going to lose it, which is what these people end up in, is these constant cycles of losing jobs. So rather than doing that, get them in a job or a business that is flexible to them and make it successful, and that will solve the problem. And you know, they'll pass it on to someone else, and they'll pass it on to someone else. And it doesn't take a lot, but it does take someone who is actually familiar with businesses, really familiar. And you know, rather than the flippant answers of do some course, because you know, even Richard Branson pointed out that university business courses are a waste of money. Okay, and the TAFE courses only teach you how to be some cog in a business, not how to work with business people, how to actually create something of value for a marketplace. So you know, it's all full of shit, man. Like, it's like, okay, where do you get this knowledge? And the self-help books, right? They are good in terms of some recommendations, but they're still pretty vague. They've got overarching principles, and it's like, well, there's a point where you don't even need the principles. What you need is someone who's actually knows how to apply specifically the principles, like where the rubber hits the road. Is like concrete understandings of specifics. So rather than strategy, you want tactics, like direct applicable tactics to the situation you're in, for the business you want to create. And this you don't learn in sort of business schools, right? But if you're helping people out, then you could teach these things to people who actually need the skills and give them a way out of the situation they're in. Alright, cheers guys.